so nice. Lord, she would love it, So I go in my room.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live at lifestyleradio.ca. Plus we're also live at Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Shoutcast, and I'm here in the front window of CannaDaze where I'm also live. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight, my joint host, Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper, has brought us a guest who is helping patients in many ways and is adding one more to it. But before we learn more, Kim and I are going to have a quick chat. How are you, Kim?
I'm pretty good, Al. I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to taking off on an aeroplane in a few hours. So, yeah, really good mood.
Yeah. Well, I hope the weather is good for you when you leave and when you get to your destination, which is?
Yeah, me too. I'm off to Vancouver to visit the beautiful BC coast. Never been before. This will be my first trip. And I'm being hosted by the wonderful ladies, the 12 High Chicks. And I'll be attending the 12 High Chicks Mom Cup out in BC this weekend.
Nice. And what are you going to be doing out there?
Well, we're doing a live broadcast from the event, it just so happens. On a Sunday, we should be on the air about 11 a.m. Pacific time, BC time.
That would be,
and we should be running for at least 3 hours.
That'd be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for us.
2 o'clock here.
For us who will be remaining in the East Coast and being involved in that.
Yeah, it should be a great time. I've got the wonderful co-host, joint host Debbie Stelz-Giffen is joining me out there, all the way from wonderful Nova Scotia. And we're going to be getting together in BC along with Tamara Cartwright.
Correct. Yes, Tamara-wana.
Yes, Tamara-wana.
And this is going to be really interesting. I think we're going to have a good time with this. You'll be going around as well as you got a table as well. There's supplying with the table where you can bring guests in.
Yeah, the 12 High Chicks have been fabulous. They're meeting us at the airport and taking us to our accommodations. They've also supplied us with a table for our radio broadcast, so we can invite guests that are wandering around during the event, and they can come over and join us at our booth.
Nice. It's great, if that'll do this one out west. Who knows? We might end up doing one on the East Coast. There is the mum thing that happens out there, the Mum Fest with the John Cook Cup.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to get to, too. I'm planning on this year being a year for travel for me, so you never know. I might wind up on the East Coast.
Yeah, coast to coast with the road show.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So are you're have a little booth set up there with maybe some information or?
Yeah, we're going to have, we'll have everything available to tell you all about Lifestyle Radio and, of course, the Pace Radio Show. And as well as all of us ladies that will be there broadcasting, we're all from different groups and organizations ourselves as well. So we'll all have our information there for people to look at regarding what different events that we're involved in.
Yeah. Well, that's awful kind of them to supply you with a table, for sure.
Yeah, they've been fabulous hosts so far, and I haven't even gotten there yet.
Now, so we didn't talk about this before or anything like that, but I know I was talking with Al, and I guess it was to deal with being you're in Canada, you're flying in Canada, you're a medical licensed person, traveling in air in the plane with your cannabis.
Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to do it.
I did find an article in the Globe and Mail that was on that, and they said bring your documentation with you.
Yeah, there's actually information on this on the Air Canada website now. So the information is available for you online through the Air Canada website. Your medication must be from a legal producer. It must be in the original container you received from the legal producer, and you must have the accompanying receipt for the medication. And of course, it must be in your name.
Yeah. Well, that's it's good to know. It's something that you have to learn before you go out.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up, and they say that's all I need. So my bottles and my receipts are packed, and we'll find out tomorrow.
So I know tomorrow. Now, do you have to notify them before you step on the plane?
It doesn't say that I had to in the rules, so I'm not planning on offering up any information. Should they want to peruse and have a look and find what they find, then I'll deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, to move along here, free stuff. Got free stuff to give away. Just go to the pace-online.ca website and send me a message letting me know that you're looking for some free stuff, and we'll send you along some Treating Yourself magazines, DVDs of the TY Expos with doctors, researchers, lawyers, all kinds of people that you would like to listen to as the speakers, and to be able to see the different events. And the TY Expo, in my mind, from my experiences, I'd say was the one that got everything going. These big expos now.
Yeah. TY is the one that started it all.
I remember it was quite the show. I know it was something that I really enjoyed. It involved not only the it was the advocates were involved, and there was legal stuff there. There was the different compassion clubs and stuff. So it was enjoyable. It was great. 110 booths, 120 booths. So we'll send you the free stuff. Just go to pace-online.ca, and I'll send you some stuff, just like we did with Richard this week. I got in the mail to him, so he'll be receiving that in the next few days.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. It's a fabulous gift set.
Now, as far as our news item, I don't know whether you caught much of this. I heard you say earlier you hadn't been on Facebook much, but it looks like the brand new 24-hour-old cannabis culture store in Bancroft has not only been raided once but twice in the last day.
Oh my goodness. No, I had no idea. I am social media blank today. I haven't been online at all. That is horrendous. How could they possibly raid the place twice in one day? The money that those raids take, they're upwards of over $50,000 per time that the task force goes in.
It'd be huge. Like, they raided them yesterday, and then they opened up again this morning, so they went back in this morning and raided them. I know Mark was on doing Facebook Live with the raid. Yeah, others were there as well. Wayne here at CannaDaze, he caught a lot of it. He listened to it. He actually had it broadcasting here in the store.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Wayne, did you want to come over and mention a few things about what you heard there today? Oh, crap. I forgot his wrench. I was supposed to bring him. So, what all did you hear today on the raid?
The raid in Brantford? Yeah, I know they raided around 8:30 last night. Took everything out of there, and then they raided again this morning as staff showed up. They arrested 3 that I'm aware of, and one was released on bail within 3 hours. I didn't hear about the other 2. But Mark Emery was down there doing a live Facebook feed, and he said there was nothing in the building. The cops sat there from 8:30 this morning till about 2 o'clock this afternoon, awaiting a warrant to show up so they could enter the premises. And I understand that dispensary is on native land, so there was some kind of weirdness around that as well.
So if they were waiting for a warrant to go in and there was nothing in there?
Yeah, exactly. Mark was telling people he had nothing in there, and cops were saying, just wait until we get till the warrant arrives.
Yeah, they were arresting people, and they were asking on video, asking the cops, what am I under arrest for? And they said, we'll let you know later.
How can they possibly do that?
Really, eh? Isn't that just, it's as if they're just going above the law.
Well, it's completely illegal to detain somebody. That's unlawful detainment.
Yeah, we have a customer here in the store saying that it's the OPP. They can do whatever they want.
They had about a dozen officers there and 6 cars all day long. So, you add that up tax dollar-wise. And after the raid the night before, we're talking a big expense. These people are probably all claiming mega overtime to hang out there.
My Lord.
Yeah, there you go. Eh? Not even warrant, not even anything in there. He's just waiting until they find out that they got nothing in there. Or the amount is so low that he said it's nothing like the Church Street location.
Oh my God! But yeah. I mean, even if there's nothing in there, then what are they waiting? What possible charges could become of these people they're holding?
Well, he's projecting that all these charges would be dropped because there's nothing there. So how do you charge somebody with trafficking when they've got nothing to traffic?
Yeah.
So they charge them, and then they'll just end up dropping the charges. Like there's been a lot of them who drop with Project Claudia and the others.
Jesus, I mean, it just speaks volumes to the mindset of that particular police force, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Show
you have to take an action like this. You have to take it right to the top and find out who the chief is in that particular jurisdiction, and that's where all of the complaints and letters and phone calls should go directly to the chief of police for that jurisdiction.
Yeah. Disagree with the way things were done, obviously.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
All right, well, we've been a little bit long on the news, but we've got a little bit of time here, and why don't we bring in our guest, who, as I said, helps patients in many ways, and is adding one more way of doing that. So I'd like to welcome Alicia Yashcheshen to the Pace Radio Show. How did I do, Alicia? Did I get your name right?
For sure you did. Good job.
Yeah.
Hey, folks.
All right. Good stuff. That's always good.
You get the golden ribbon.
Yes. Some of them are good. I guess Kim likes to throw me some real tongue twisters, don't you, Kim?
I do occasionally. But you know what? It's not my fault. I didn't name my guests.
Very true.
So right.
I just seem to be able to pick the ones with these wonderful names.
and actually, tonight was a bit of a joint effort in that. Not only do I want to welcome Alicia to tonight's show, but as I mentioned, Lisa is going to add one more thing to what she does, and we'd like to welcome her here as our new joint host. She's going to help us out here at the program. She's going to bring in some guests and get involved. Right, Alicia?
For sure. I'm very excited. This is an awesome opportunity. I'm very happy to be here. So I thank you.
Yes. It brings, it's been a while now, but in the past we've had some representation as far as our joint hosts from the West Coast, Central Canada, as well as the East Coast. And Alicia, being that you're located out west, that gives us that again. And help spread us across the country.
For sure.
Yes. And let's see what else. It's going to be interesting to see the guests that you bring to the show. And it's going to be interesting to talk with everybody along the way.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm totally stoked. So.
What was that, Kim?
Oh, for sure. I'm so looking forward to having a new girl join us in Al's Angels. That's what we like to call ourselves, Alicia. We're Al's Angels. So it's great to have you on board with Al's Angels and have some new blood into our little crew here. and a whole new area opening up in where you live. We haven't had a joint host, I don't think, from that area.
No, never from Saskatchewan. Never. You're first, Alicia.
Oh, that's awesome. I like to break barriers.
Yeah. Yes, and when I think back, I know we've had a one or two, a few from Saskatchewan, like you'd be one of them. So it'd be interesting to see. It's when I talk to you is about having guests. It's not. We got a whole Canada and international guests, but I still find at times where I know Kim herself, she likes to focus in on her area and promote the people from the north, and Kim likes to do that as well with people from the East Coast, or Deb does that from the East Coast. So I'm sure you'll find yourself, doing that as well as Saskatchewan.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on out there. And I know that you had asked me about some international guests, so I'm sure that we'll have some. See. Oh, we got a question here. We got a customer. We got a question here.
Okay. Here's something for everybody out there to give a comment on, and I've always wanted to know this. To me, marijuana is no different than another style of tobacco. And if tobacco is legal, then why isn't marijuana? Because it's just another style of tobacco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's something.
Absolutely.
It's something that is smoked. It has a much better background in history than tobacco does too, as well.
That's right, and it's been consumed by our Native American fellows for centuries.
Sure has. So it's not something that's new.
Unfortunately, I guess we can thank people like Harry Anslinger, who demonized cannabis before it actually had a chance to prove itself or disprove itself. And so tobacco never really had someone go after them politically, socially, legally, in the way in which cannabis was taken after unjustly, really.
Okay.
It's not just about the cannabis movement, it's about civil rights attached to that and the ability to be free of government sanction in order to use your choice of medicine. And I really like that human rights tribunals and the courts are finally waking up and saying, hey, you know what, this is discrimination when you aren't allowed to choose a natural substance as opposed to a chemical Band-Aid.
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely.
He was a total racist. I just posted some of his comments recently, and he talks about how marijuana would make black people have sex with white women.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and the thing
of course,
is,
the Mexican element was in there as well.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
There's a bunch of them. I couldn't believe it. Just type in Harry Anslinger quotes on marijuana.
Well, and the thing is he was the very first terrorist, as far as I'm concerned. What he did to cannabis and his agenda was terrorism. And it wasn't just about cannabis. It was the people who used cannabis that he was after. And that's why this movement runs further and deeper than most people think. It's not just about legalization of a plant. It's about legalizing the rights of the people who use that plant. Because we're treated as second-class citizens, and that's not okay.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, we got some more comments.
Here's the thought I'm going to leave you with, a question. And that is, you think back, we'll even go back as far as maybe in, let's say, 1850. What was the first tobacco they ever had?
But I don't know. As far as I know, I don't know how long tobacco's been around.
I think it's been around as probably as long as cannabis, but the thing is it was a spiritual plant to Native American people, and so that's why no one kind of went after it.
And they've been finding it in the tombs over there in the deserts, thousands of years old.
Well, they just found that new one with the person that was wrapped in a cannabis shroud that survived.
Yeah.
I would argue that cannabis dates back further than tobacco. People didn't know what tobacco was, but they knew what cannabis was in terms of plants and knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, it was definitely used medicinally throughout the ages for so many things.
Yeah, for everything. you know.
And when Hanslinger got a hold of it, everybody knew it as cannabis. And when Hanslinger, cannabis was a new drug. It was marijuana. And people didn't connect it.
That's right.
Well, and it was to demonize like minority populations, right? So people who are for not legalization are basically fueling the fire of racism and the suppression of civil rights. Like, you can't honestly, in good faith, stand behind prohibition and utter that it's a good thing or that it helps anyone, because it's proven that it harms everyone.
The prohibition has done more harm than the plant itself, for sure.
And so anything negative that is attached to cannabis is as a result of prohibition, not because of cannabis. Like how they purport that, cannabis has these high levels of THC. Well, that's a naturally occurring thing that has happened because cannabis has been suppressed. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if we have cannabinoidal systems within our body was designed to ingest cannabis. And by suppressing that ability for how many years is basically tromping all over our evolution as people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I've been saying that for so long, Alicia. If you trace back the history of our population and the chronic illnesses that we're facing in today's world, and you look at our history, all of these chronic illnesses, the outbreaks of severe cancers and new diseases across the board that affect all of our systems. And if you look back at the history, they've all taken place over the last 80 years. And that's basically the same time period that cannabis has been under this persecution, started by Aslinger, as you said. And, with cannabis prohibition, we are not consuming it in our diets. We're not getting it in our regular medications that used to be sold over the counter at pharmacists across the continent. And it was in everything from baby medicine to old people's medicines for aches and pains. And it's no longer there. We're no longer ingesting these cannabinoids regularly, and our population is becoming sick. It has to be a correlation that we're not feeding our endocannabinoid system, and that's why we're getting sick.
For sure, I agree, because most diseases is a deficiency of cannabinoids, like arthritis, Crohn's disease, all of these things. It's because something within our environment has attacked our cannabinoidal system. And just because humans are so naive to think that they know everything about science in the body, well, we don't. We have no idea what the cannabinoid system is capable of, what it actually does, and that's a fault of our own because of prohibition. We should know what cannabis actually does to the body and how it cures the body, but we don't. Isn't that embarrassing?
Could you imagine how far medications would have come without prohibition in the last 85 years?
Big time. Huge.
We'd be healing cancer by now if we wouldn't have suppressed cannabis since 1923, right? We would be so much smarter, we'd be so much richer, we'd know things. And right now we live in a day where there's a lot of information, but it's not data, it's just information. So had we been
anecdotal and patient-oriented information isn't accepted widely by the medical community, sadly. But there is so much prevailing anecdotal information nowadays; it can't be ignored, and that's hopefully what will push the science forward, which will be accepted someday. But if we didn't have this prohibition to start with, since the early 1900s, could you imagine where we would be today?
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
For sure. We would be so much abundant. We wouldn't be in deficits. We wouldn't be slaves to the creditors. There's just so many different ways that we could have changed our world. And in terms of hemp too, the regulation of hemp is just it's killed that industry. It's very expensive, and most farmers don't want to get into growing hemp because it's so highly regulated. And what for? What, you're going to smoke a field of hemp? Come on. You know what I mean?
That's just it. With this whole prohibition, they just tied it all together. All pot is the same, all cannabis is the same, it's all marijuana, it's all bad, whether it's hemp, CBD, THC, it doesn't matter. It's all been tied together in one neat little bundle for the prohibitionists.
Well, and the thing is cannabis plants could never grow with hemp plants because they would cross-pollinate and they would be ruined.
That's right.
So So the fact that it's so stringently regulated that you can't, you might be growing cannabis on your farm, but you can't. Like, realistically, you cannot do that. But it's just that these asinine theories and ways of looking at things that the government perpetuates for years. Like, we should have an abundant hemp industry making all kinds of things, fuel, paper, clothing, like you name it. We could have done it. But,
yeah,
you know,
I don't think we would be still using gasoline had that happened.
Oh, the hemp
exactly.
fuel. Yeah, exactly. And just think of the cleaning the air from all the growing of the hemp.
Yeah.
Environmentally wise. You know, the ground being clean, the air being clean.
Yeah. Well, it eats up all of the toxins in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is they use over Chernobyl over in Russia.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. I'm convinced if they would take hemp seeds and just scatter them all over Chernobyl, that something great and magnificent would happen because it would eventually neutralize that area. And I mean, why wouldn't you try? There's nothing there anyways. Like, there's no reason why someone couldn't put on like a big suit and just go and throw hemp seeds all over there and see what happens. You know, like that would be like such a project, right? Like.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, right here in Canada, we got the Overgrow Canada with Dana Larson trying to throw millions of seeds across our country.
Yeah, I've signed up for mine. I've got my kit on its way, and I have extras as well coming for Northern Ontario residents. They're available to pick up at the NOSER headquarters in Smooth Rock Falls if anybody is interested.
There you go. Yeah, get some seeds, that's for sure. Let's see, we've still got a few more minutes before we go to a commercial. And Lisa, we really haven't talked to you about who you are or anything along that line.
I mean, we kind of dove right in there, didn't we?
Well, we had that question that came in from.
Well, when it feels like home, it feels like home, right?
yeah, exactly. We had the customer ask the question and get involved, so that was great, and we were able to go along there for quite a while on that. And but let's see what else on that issue.
When we come back from break, are we going to just go into who is Alicia?
Yes, exactly. I'm just trying to kill a couple minutes here.
I see.
Yes.
Well, Alicia, you got one out? Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to I didn't say this earlier, but anybody that that walks in here to the store while we are online, we're on air, and gets involved in the conversation, we'll get some free buttons so that they can have a voice without saying a word.
Yeah, always advertising and walking around advertising is always good.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know what we found out today, just talking about laws and stuff, was that Wayne has a sandwich board that promotes his business. You know, like other businesses. We found out today there's a bylaw against those things, or for those things. Has to get a permit.
I mean, that's ridiculous. We're talking about a sandwich board. What's 2.5 feet tall? Shaped like an upside down V. And it's sitting on the street, and it says, shop here, or whatever they say, right? I mean, these are available, and they're outside of almost every store in any city that's downtown core that you go to. You see sandwich board signs on the street. I doubt very much all those sandwich board signs are authorized by the town, or that the town even cares to go after people. Make sure that they get a permit for that.
I guess they want to know what you're putting up in front of your store. Even the landlord's got to get involved. He's got to get signatures from his landlord. But
the landlord has to agree that yes, the sandwich board sign is okay, and then you have to pay a fee and take it to the city and make sure that the city says the sandwich board is okay. So for our listeners out there, if anybody has encountered this in a non-cannabis related business, we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
We don't believe that it has happened on a non-cannabis related business.
So for the next little while, won't be able to put the sandwich board out, but we got the big windows. People can see. So okay, let's jump off to break here,
And when we come back from break, we'll be able to get talk to Alicia about her and get to introduce her to our listeners.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Tonight, our bumper music is by a band called Collectivo, and we're going to hear a song that's called Hemp Wanted. Then Kim and I will continue our talk with Alicia, and we will find out more about her. This is the Pace Radio Show at lifestyleradio.ca.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Bajo el cielo sin luna, las olas altas revolcando el mar. Olor de sur y la música del mar. Y yo aquí pensando en ti.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
CTCP now operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Man, have you been to CannaDaze yet? CannaDaze, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. CannaDaze. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? CannaDaze can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. CannaDaze. Have your say without saying a word. CannaDaze.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
We're back. It's the Pace Radio Show, and we are live here at lifestyleradio.ca. And always remember, if you miss our live shows, you can always catch the podcast, which are at YouTube, Mixcloud. If you're a U.S. listener, you can catch us at iHeartRadio. And also new now is iTunes. You can catch all our past programming here at lifestyleradio.ca on iTunes as well. Let's see. If you're having a problem keeping up with important Canadian cannabis news, then I'd like to suggest, as always, download Grassroots Advocate, a free cannabis news sharing magazine and information sharing magazine. It's put out by us here at PACE. Not only does it have Canadian cannabis news, but it also has educational articles and recipes. Plus, it has a cannabis directory that includes signing clinics, compassion centers all across Canada. Let's see, everything is linked. Everything has got the links embedded into them, so it all goes back to the original source. And you can get that by going to pace-online.ca. Click on the Grassroots button and download your free copy today, or you can also get on our subscribers mail list. And the latest issue I just posted online, so it's available as well. And our joint host tonight, she can tell you about them as well, is Kim gets some every month, don't you, Kim?
I do.
And who sends those nice copies to you?
I get them delivered to me by the wonderful folks over at Legacy 420 down in Shannonville. Wonderful, wonderful people there. Tom Jim Bernhardt, sorry. I just lost my tongue there for a second. That's great right. Guy. He's also my sponsor for NOSER, and he's been doing some great things and helping my organization NOSER advance up here in the north.
Yeah, he's helping you head out west?
Yes, he is. He's also sponsored me for the upcoming Canada Biz conference, which is taking place in Toronto this coming April, the weekend just after 420.
Very nice. It's good to see people get involved, the businesses get involved to help advocates get around and do their advocacy work and spread the truth and the knowledge, isn't it?
Absolutely. Tim's a fabulous guy. We've had him on the show as a guest, and he's doing great things down there with Legacy 420 and the advancement of dispensaries and patients' rights in the area.
Yeah, got the association on the roll as well. And, so he's doing great work. All right, and tonight we're joined by our guest and also a new joint host here at the Pace Radio Show, and that's Alicia Yashcheshen. I knew. I knew I'd get it eventually wrong.
You should have just stuck with the ones,
Before we know it, Alicia, this won't even exist. It's just going to be smooth as if it was just like the word "it."
You could always say Alicia Y. That works too.
Alicia Y. Yeah. Yashin. I'll get you. It's coming. It's coming. Where you're? Well, hey, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? We talked the first part of the show about a bunch of different stuff there when it comes to cannabis, and so now it's to learn a little bit about you. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and what nationality is that last name?
Okay, so it's Ukrainian, good old Ukrainian.
Good.
My grandma immigrated right from Ukraine, so it's
okay.
Good Ukrainian name. That's where its roots come from, essentially. So again, I'm Alicia Yashcheshen, and I'm the co-founder of the Saskatchewan Medical Cannabis Association. That's a wordful, but we have something here called the Saskatchewan Medical Association. So we didn't want to align ourselves with them, but we wanted to have a professional presence in that our organization provides professional services. So in 2009, we opened our doors. We started our organization. It was a grassroots effort. There was about 5 of us. We were MMAR patients, and we realized that in Saskatchewan, there was no kind of outreach place for people to go and learn about cannabis and hemp, and a place where they can get educated on how to actually become licensed. Because back in 2009, that's when you had to get your MMAR medical declaration filled out in order to be legalized. And so the trouble with that was that most doctors weren't willing to make a medical declaration, because that's what it was previous, that you would have to make a medical attestation that your patient couldn't use conventional drugs and that cannabis was the only likely option that could help ease the burden of their symptoms. Most people, I don't know if they realize that, not in the cannabis community, but I, for years, have been in the cannabis community, and I didn't realize it. That's why most doctors were apprehensive and are still apprehensive to sign cannabis as a prescription, because they had to make a medical declaration. Since the system has changed, they don't require the medical declaration, but that was a big thing in the past when the MMAR first came out, that doctors were just like not having any of it. So then that's where we came in. SaskMed was that we wanted to educate Saskatchewan residents about the cleverness of cannabis. And so we started by doing rallies and protests, and then we became known for doing our 420 event in Regina, Saskatchewan at the downtown park. And so Bob Erb gave us funding for a few years, and we were able to provide shirts and buttons and hats. And just the rapport that we created with the community was big. Like, people know us till this day about our 420 event. So that's something that we're quite proud of and fond of. And so over the years, we've kind of taken a step back from 420 and see how the younger generations would perceive 420 and how they would celebrate it. And we're actually thinking of kind of getting together this coming year for 420 and to kind of have a big bash. And we want it to be like Vancouver in Saskatchewan, but most often it turns into a protest, because you have police who come and circle us, and then they watch us like just overstepping their jurisdictional boundaries and impeaching upon our rights. Like, one 420, we had police officers pulling people from the crowd and asking to search them. And I was just like, no way, not at my 420 event. Like, that was just preposterous. Like, we weren't harming anyone. We had a permit to be there. And so it just goes to show, like, the raft that happens between pot smokers and police, and the miseducation on both parts. Most police officers don't even know that you can possess medical cannabis except for, and that's in Saskatchewan. I can't speak for other places within Canada, but they're very poorly educated when it comes to your rights in medical cannabis, but not surprising, they're very poorly educated on any human rights, right? So they're not the people that are going to stand up to protect your human rights, even though that's what they're essentially paid to do, which is disheartening. But back to our organization, that's kind of the role that we play in Saskatchewan right now, where we kind of have some alliances with doctors throughout Canada that we're providing prescriptions. There's still, I guess, a referral fee. Some people kind of are apprehensive about that, because they thought that was eliminated when the new legislation was brought in. Unfortunately, again, doctors don't want to sign, so you have to go above and beyond the regular process in this day and age, which is quite sad, because, I mean, it's 2017 and we have a prime minister that's alleging he's going to legalize, but it doesn't show in his actions that that's actually the case. And throughout my years of activism, I've been going to university. I first found cannabis because I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2004 after I had ingested some pills for a car accident, and I was told that they were safe, and the insurance company paid for them and said, yeah, all is well. And then a few months later, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And so at the current moment, we're battling it out in the courts to provide funding for my cannabis through Saskatchewan government insurance. And then recently, because of the Nova Scotia decision where a human rights tribunal actually ordered an insurance company to pay for this gentleman's cannabis, I filed a human rights complaint in Saskatchewan, and I'm just waiting to see whether or not it would be deemed discrimination. And so that's a big thing that'll get momentum moving, hopefully throughout the country, because unfortunately Saskatchewan is pretty anti-cannabis, if you will, not very friendly per se, but we're getting better. But that just comes with education. And so, yeah, at this point, I do different activism, like I'll leave shirts places. I recently started giving out pot leaf stickers to normalize the pot leaf. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Wow, that's a huge mouthful. So
it's like my life story. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's touch on a few things that.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of notes I gotta pop in on there too.
Did you? Great, because I don't have a pen in front of me. Now, when it comes to back to your 420 rallies, it doesn't sound like you're doing them right now, but and like you mentioned about Saskatchewan, isn't a big cannabis capital of Canada or anything, and I know it's a conservative province. You got Brad Wall. You're led.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So how were they attended? Like, did you have sometimes, like, I know Wayne here, he runs the 420 Peterborough. He gets over the day, he gets a few hundred people, 500 people or whatever that come through there. Do you how were your numbers for being there?
I would say a couple of hundred, but it depends. Like, we've noticed that if you advertise like months in advance, that's when you get the numbers, and you kind of have like different, like you have your 420 page, and then you always like kind of update it. That's what we found was most successful, is advertising the event for sure. It's just kind of a known place that everyone gathers there. I'm sure like in Vancouver, it's just a known place to meet on 420. But I think that it's such a mixture of people and generations too, right? So it's getting all of those people to kind of come in, share and celebrate 420. Like, before we took over the event, everyone would meet at the park, but they'd kind of have their own little groups throughout the park, and no one kind of gathered at 420 and lit joints right at 420 and did announcements and stuff. And so there was no kind of MC. So we kind of gathered everyone together, and so now everyone comes to one spot at the park to celebrate 420. So that's quite impressive, I guess.
What type of stuff do you do for your
change
event?
Comes, right?
What kind of stuff do you do at the event for 420? How did you bring it together?
So basically, we kind of have like a program, like we just sell raffle tickets. We used to get like the local head shops to donate a basket of goods, and so we'd have awesome swag. And so we'd sell tickets for like $1 or whatever, just to go back to the association, because most years, like, we provide our supporters with different things. Like most years we do balloons, and we'll put things into those balloons so that we kind of deter littering. So one year we put seeds in the balloons, and everyone was like so stoked to go and plant their seed of change, right? And so we kind of have we have a mic and we MC it, so it's very much an event. We would like to see it grow so that we could have bands and etc. in the park, but I guess like that's not really our mandate at this point. We're more professional education, stuff like that. But it's not to say that we wouldn't do that in the future, but
you could team up with somebody. That's basically what Wayne and I did. Wayne is the business end. He holds the 420 in Peterborough and has vendors and music and stuff like that. Actually, that's for Cannabis Day, but he does the 420 as well. And so you have that, as well as you have the information and education to put out. So if you could team up with somebody, that would be handy.
For sure. Well, there used to be a group of 5 of us that we would gather on that day. We would blow up the balloons, and always with the balloons there would be some kind of swag attached to it. If it was a business card with, something, and I think I would go as far as to give out some type of pot candies or something, but that's just, I like to push the envelope.
I've seen things attached to helium balloons and that go.
Yeah, me too. Well, the 420 event sounds awesome that you pull off, for sure.
Yeah, because you organize a 420 as well, right, Kim?
Oh, mine is so tiny, though. I'm from small town Northern Ontario. I've actually started 3 of them now. I've got 3 small towns doing them, but they're all very small. One had 5 people at it. Another last year was bigger numbers. First year we had 10 people at one and 25 at the other. So they're all very tiny.
Yeah. Well, hey, you start tiny and things grow, just like a seed, right?
Yeah. Well, they'd never had a 420 event in Northern Ontario until I started them 3 years ago, and now we're up to four towns now. They're doing them now.
Nice. Hey, growing. That's growth.
Yeah. So they're all small, but
not everybody's going to get 10,000 or 15,000 people out to these rallies. Like, we don't even have 15,000 people in our whole municipality.
Well, that's just it. And with the small towns in Northern Ontario, you're lucky in some of these towns if there's, 400, 500 people, 2,000 people total in the entire town. So getting 25 people there when the town's only consists of 300 is actually a pretty good number.
Actually, correct. Yeah, it is. It is. You got 1/12 of the town there.
So I mean, it has to go by the size of the town, and up north, that's all that we have up here is a whole bunch of small towns.
Yeah. And now, Alicia, in when you were just talking a bit about some of the stuff that you've been involved with, you mentioned in university. You've been a past guest on the program, and at that time, you told us a little bit about. You had a bit of a battle with them. I don't know. Is that all over and done with?
Yeah, we actually came to a settlement, which wasn't satisfactory to what I was hoping that the lawsuit would fuel in terms of change. So basically the lawsuit was because they failed to accommodate my disability. And I'm finding that accommodation, and especially when it comes to disability and the use of marijuana, take that back, cannabis, is really a foreign concept. And I would like to see that evolve and change. Like at the Supreme Court, we only have 3 major case law precedences set in terms of accommodation. That's problematic when 57% of people with disabilities are unemployed. If we had a population of able-bodied people and 57% of them were unemployed, people would be screaming. You know what I mean? Where when it comes to disability, it's like, who cares? Not me, not my problem. But oftentimes we forget that no one is immune from disability, no one is immune from disease. And so it's kind of naive to think that, setting the platform for accommodation and following the law when it comes to accommodation, like the whole discrimination thing in cannabis, like that's accommodation. When you ask like an insurance company to pay for marijuana instead of morphine, that's a form of accommodation. And so if you really want to do it from a cost analysis basis, like I would argue that cannabis in the long run will cost you less because you're not paying for 10 different medications. Like for my Crohn's disease, I was taking upwards of like 41 pills a day, and some of those like injections and different drugs, they're quite pricey, and the government was fitting the bill for those because they were pharmaceuticals. But in the same regard, they were also having to fit the bill for 10 other drugs because of that one drug. So does it really make sense? I would argue no. Being able to choose your medicine and what makes you cure yourself or help yourself is your prerogative. And I don't think that insurance companies or the government can mess with that, because that's what accommodation is. That's what human rights are, right?
Yeah, and I know that in the U.S. they have found states that have a medical cannabis law that their costs, as far as medical costs for treatments and stuff, have gone down. And I know from my own experience that I've helped save taxpayers money through using cannabis, because there was medications I didn't use, such as painkillers, Oxycontins and Perks and stuff. I never used any of them.
Oh, 100%, Al. I'm with you all the way on that. When I was released from the hospital, several years ago after my car accident 12 years ago, I was taking 16 pills a day. It was a ridiculous amount of pills that I was taking, all of them pharmaceuticals from the doctor. That's what they released me on to keep me together. It increased, by several pills over the year following that. I maintained that level for several years until I finally woke up and I found cannabis again in my life, and and now I've eliminated all of them except one.
Yeah.
So I went from 16 to 1.
It's
that's right there speaks volumes on the amount that this can help with.
Well, not only that, though, but what about the hospital admissions? Before I found cannabis, I was hospitalized 62 times. You know how much it costs to keep someone in the hospital for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? There was times where I was in the hospital for a whole month. One semester of university, I had to go from the hospital because my doctor wouldn't release me. I had to go to my very first day of classes with an IV in my arm.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? If I wanted to continue with my education, because that was one thing that Crohn's disease was not taken for me, and that was my education. And so it come hell or high water, I was going to my first day of class. And so my doctor was like, okay, well, you can go to class, but then you have to come back right to the hospital. But yeah, I had a IV in my arm. So how much did that cost the taxpayers to keep me in the hospital for all of those days? And what did they really do for me? They just pumped me full of painkillers and starved me. So were they really helping me? Well, I would argue no. It was just adding fuel to the fire. And then don't forget, I became a drug addict, physically addicted to opiate painkillers because I couldn't get off of them. Because I was in so much pain. Right? Yeah. And so even though I was taking these pills, they did nothing to ease my pain. And I would have to keep taking more and more and more to get to a level that would even remotely touch the pain.
I'm sure
I hear you, Alicia. It just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. It starts off low and it goes up from there. By the time all was said and done, I was taking, drastic amounts of morphine plus Percodan every day. And my stomach lining is gone now because of it. And like you say, it doesn't do anything to touch the pain. And all they do is keep increasing the dose, and you just keep taking more and more and more.
Oh, and you keep getting, you continue to be addicted. And it's just the MGs keep going up. When I made the choice to go off all of narcotics, I withdrew for 15 days. I had leg spasms and it was hell. I wouldn't wish opiate withdrawal on anyone, and that's why so many people stay on those pills, is because it is so hard to get off of them. And my thing was cannabis. If I didn't have cannabis, I don't know if I could have done it.
Absolutely. It's a tough road for sure. It took me 4 years. I weaned myself off slowly because I was on so many medications. I took the slow road. I did it slowly. It took me 4 years to get off everything. But I still take the one every day, and it's the one thing that keeps me walking. So I don't have a choice. I can't give that up.
Right. And, here we've got a big epidemic of narcotics with, the opiates. The painkillers and stuff in North America, and and then now we're seeing the opiate overdose deaths here across Canada. I know that I made the right decision many years ago, and it's so good when if you get others that can change over. It's good.
Yeah, and being free of that and getting on a natural medicine like cannabis to replace it all, you get your life back. I mean, so much of your life is consumed in an opiate daze when you're on those things. Hours turn into days turn into weeks, and next thing you know it, you're sitting in the same spot, and it's the next month.
So, Alicia, you must have missed a lot.
You don't have a clue.
Lisa, you must have missed a lot of schooling then.
Oh, for sure, and that's why they basically kicked me out, is because I was.
They kicked you out
for a whole semester. Yeah, well, they kicked me out, and the real kicker is they kept all my tuition. They didn't give me any tuition back. So, and that's what I would.
Well, you're in an opiate fog when you take that much.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is no one understood my disability. No one still, lots of people still don't understand what Crohn's disease is. It's Crohn's disease could be a terminal illness. If you start GI bleeding, you're pretty much done. You know what I mean? So it's this isn't a joke. For me, cannabis is life sustaining because I'm anorexic without it. And that's not by choice, because of how some people suffer from eating disorders based upon how they perceive their body. for me, it's I don't want to feel that pain when I eat. And the only thing that forces me to eat is cannabis. And without cannabis, I naturally don't eat because my body is so used to being in pain from eating. And like I say, with the opiates, it didn't make me eat. It made me not eat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
you know, like it deterred me from
eating. And it would
eating.
bung you up. Big time, the opiates.
So,
I know, cannabis before eating and after eating.
Oh, for sure. And like without it, like I shudder to think like where I would be. And so when people kind of discriminate or they use stereotypical like analogies of cannabis or a cannabis user, like it truly infuriates me because it's like unless you've walked, like a Cree elder used to say, unless you've walked a mile in another's moccasins, you have no qualification to judge their life. And it's so true. Like we sit back and we judge each other so stringently about stupid things, like the use of cannabis, for crying out loud. But we shudder to think, like, what is the other result? Like everything that we're told and what we know is the lie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're supposed to go to the doctor and he's supposed to help you, but he creates more havoc on your health. You know, you go to a lawyer and he throws you under the bus, you know, like, so it is this really like, we're living in this age of like, is it going to flip from alternative facts is my question. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we live in this like veil, we have these masks on, and it's true, it's like legalization. Like, you lying douchebag, you said you were going to legalize this spring. If you don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I have no faith in any politician then. Like, you can't take them at face value then. And, like, how do you folks feel about that? Like, if they push back legalization, as far as I'm concerned, that is not okay.
Well, of course it's not okay, but I didn't think it was going to happen this spring anyway.
Well, yeah. And
I never had faith. Yeah.
I will probably be madder if there's no legislation, because he promised legislation in the spring. So if there's no legislation, then that really will raise a lot of red flags. But if there's legislation, then it's moving along really slowly, but it is moving along. And talking about moving along, it's break time.
It's break time.
It's break time. And we're going to hear some more of Collectivo. And when we return, we're all going to continue this conversation. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show here at
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
La playa desierta, brillante la luna allá. Olor de arena y la música del bar. Y yo aquí.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponics system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
Man, have you been to CannaDaze yet? CannaDaze, Campbellford's premier cannabis culture shop at 19 Bridge Street West. They've got bongs, oil rigs, grinders, and papers. Everything you need for consumption. They've got seeds, soil, nutrients, and dome trays too. Everything you need for cultivation. Get top quality seeds from top suppliers like Canuck, Crop King, and wholesaler Nexus. CannaDaze. They've got all kinds of awesome cannabis novelties, clothing, and apparel. I know, right? It's a lot more than just a bong shop. Interested in gaining legal access? CannaDaze can help. They're a PACE information center. You know, people advocating cannabis education. Come by the shop and check it out. 19 Bridge Street West, Campbellford. CannaDaze. Have your say without saying a word. CannaDaze.ca.
Hi, this is Al Graham of the Pace Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the Pace Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Welcome back to the Pace Radio Show, and thanks for tuning in. Tonight's bumper music was Collectivo, who is a Quebec-based band, and we got to hear a bit of their song, Hemp Wanted. One of their singers, Chantel Ario, she used to be a past joint host here with the Pace Radio Show, and she once told me that the song was about a tour when they were in Mexico, and they were looking for some hemp, if you know what I mean. If you enjoyed their song, then I suggest that you go to their website, found it collectivo.ca, or search for them online. Tonight, Kim Cooper is with me as my joint host, and we have our guest, Alicia Yashcheshen of the Saskatchewan Cannabis Medical Association. Hey, I'm getting there. And Alicia's going to join us here on the Pace Radio Show, so I'm going to get lots of practice with her last name. Right, Alicia?
Yeah, for sure. But you aced it, though. That's really good. Most people can't get all of that out at once. They're kind of like, what?
Hey.
It's 11 letters.
11 letters. Yes.
Yeah, can you imagine my teachers trying to teach me how to spell that? That was my biggest thing when I was a kid, is that to spell my last name. And then people couldn't say my first name because they'd always call me Alicia or Alicia. So
my daughter used to get Alicia.
You both are, because Kim's got a daughter. Yeah, Alicia.
Yeah, same spelling of the name as well. Yeah, Alicia. We used to get that a lot.
You know, I'm looking at your last name, Alicia. 11 letters, 3 vowels.
Yep.
Shouldn't there be some more vowels in there somewhere?
Well, some people actually spell it where there's E's, I think. They put Y's there. So could you imagine all those Y's in there? Like,
yeah.
That would be even worse.
All right. During the last break there, we were talking a bit about your human rights complaint. We've talked about a little bit about your university thing. You're just battling things in the courts. Just before I ask my next question, just what's your university training?
So I have a half a degree in social work, and then I have a bachelor's of arts in justice studies with a minor in sociology.
And from my understanding, you're not done?
I am done my BA, but I've applied for my master's degree and for law school, and so I haven't heard back from either. So I'm just kind of fingers crossed.
So
either choice would be awesome. So but I kind of want to bring my activism into my education, because during my undergraduate education, I often used to write about cannabis, and you would surely find out which professors are pro-cannabis and which aren't. So that was a good way to kind of feel them out, is write about cannabis. And I'm sure that not a lot of people chose cannabis in terms of their topics, but I thought it was very worthy, and I still do. So,
Okay, now through that, you're helping people, disabilities, fighting in discriminatory territories, and you're also, because of that, you're also doing a battle of one in your own situation, you're not?
Correct. And so this is with law enforcement this time, totally different bag. But nonetheless, the accommodation and discrimination of cannabis users still very much comes into play here. The thing that I'm going up against is some RCMP officers who failed to do their job, which is a common thing, according to their complaints commission, that they will actually criminally harass someone, and then when it backfires, they'll charge the person that they were criminally harassing with criminal harassment. So my story goes back is that I had some cannabis shipped to me on the bus, FTC. I'm sure you guys have like Greyhound or some type of bus service where you
Bus Parcel Express.
Yeah. And so you get packages on the bus. And so my grower was kind enough to have sent me a package of some great premium top bud, and it went missing. So when it was supposed to arrive at its destination, it was not at its destination. So we called the bus depot that it was sent from, and they said, no, it got on the bus. It left our bus station. It's the city that was supposed to receive its problem. And so we asked the police to go there that day to investigate, because, of course, if you're a worker there and you're going to lift a package, you're going to keep it with you until the end of your shift, and then you're going to go home. Perhaps. I don't know. This is just what we were speculating, and that if they would have went there right in that same day, they possibly could have found the package. They refused. The RCMP said, no, you know what? We've got better things to do in terms of visiting and frequenting Tim Hortons than finding this package. And there's nothing to say that it was stolen. It's just missing. But unfortunately, we had the paperwork, we had everything. Like the package was obviously lifted because the guy had previously known maybe that I was getting weed. I don't know. I'm not an investigator, but this is something that should have been taken quite seriously. Like, if that would have been a bag of morphine pills, would have they went to the bus depot that day to, solve the crime? Probably,
so you
right?
told them what was in the package then, right?
Pardon?
So you told them what was in the package, that it contained cannabis, right?
Oh, for sure, because in the legislation, it said that when you actually have, like with a grower, when you have the package go missing, you're supposed to report it to Health Canada, and the police are actually supposed to report it to the government minister, because they wanted to keep track of, like, cannabis theft, right, or whatever, statistically wise, that they were expecting these reports. And the police just didn't do it. They just failed to do anything, and then came back and said, oh, well, you know what, you're out like X amount of dollars, but no worries, we can't do anything.
So this was cannabis coming from your legal grower, from a designated grower?
Yes.
Wow.
So it was all legal cannabis.
Oh, for sure. And they had a copy of both of our licenses. My grower had been my grower for quite some time, and we had shipped packages back and forth like numerous times.
So somebody caught wind of that and stole it.
Someone must have caught on, obviously, for sure, and so just lifted it. But they were not inclined in any regard to go and investigate this missing package. They just ruled it out as a missing package. They didn't say it was theft. They didn't say. But the thing is how they approached it. They just didn't care. They just didn't care.
Yeah, they chose not to do their job.
Yep, exactly. And so I made a complaint. to their complaints commission. And then after that complaint, I had RCMP officers coming to my house on a daily basis to get me to sign a complaint form. The last time I checked, there was things like the mail service, the courier service. And so they were using this form of intimidation to try to get me to back down about my complaint. And so when
Have you lodged a secondary complaint complaining about the harassment?
Yes, for sure. There's 5 complaints. And the latest thing is that they appointed the officer who I'm complaining about's best friend, because they're Facebook friends, to investigate him. And this is supposed to be an impartial, independent, review. And so I guess my whole modus operandi with this situation is changing the way in which police are complained about. Like if you've seen in the news recently in Montreal, other police forces investigating other police forces, they just don't work. That's just not something that should be happening. It should be independent investigators and not showing up at your door every day to sign a form. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that is intimidation, and intimidation is illegal under the criminal code. And so at the end of the day, they charge me with criminally harassing them, and their fear
I find it ironic that this is totally ironic that this is happening to you in Saskatchewan, where the shoe is on the other foot in Toronto. They're complaining when people aren't complaining when there's a theft. They're harassing them for not lodging the complaint.
That's the dispensaries.
Yeah, the dispensaries are getting, burglarized, and people are coming and robbing the dispensaries. And the police department is now harassing the dispensaries for not lodging a criminal complaint against being robbed. And now here you are in Saskatchewan being harassed because you did lodge a criminal complaint for being robbed. So what is the public supposed to take away from this?
Go ahead.
What was that, Alicia?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, in terms of them filing a complaint, we were robbed, but then they get charged with being an illegal dispensary. So why would you walk into that demise knowing that if I contact the authorities, they're going to turn around and come back at me? And it's just like in my situation, because I made a complaint, you start harassing me, and then you could say that I'm harassing you, and your fear is based upon me filing another complaint. Because I went to the Human Rights Commission, I went to the Privacy Commissioner, I've went to every federal government organizational body that has jurisdiction over them, because I want change. I want a police complaint system that is of merit. A corporal who is best friends with a constable on Facebook, and he's investigating him. Do you really think that the civilian even has a chance of proving their case when they're friends? That is some inbreeding that needs to be undone. That is the epitome of injustice, is it not?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. It's ass backwards. There's no question about that.
And so it takes an activist to stand up and say, hey, look, because your everyday citizen isn't going to go and make that complaint to the police because they fear of retaliation. And
you're proving that happens. You get retaliated against, you get harassed by them, and then you find out the people that are investigating them are their best friends. That's why the general public doesn't stand up, because they're looking at it like beating your head against a frickin' wall.
Exactly. That's the best analogy here. And nothing gets done. Nothing. They waste some more of our taxpayers' dollars and resources, and nothing gets done.
I'm picturing you going to court, and the prosecutor standing there before a judge and saying and providing the evidence of you writing a letter complaining about the police not doing their job, and using that as sufficient, trying to use that as sufficient evidence to convict you on.
But see, with criminal harassment, there's 5 stipulations that you have to meet, and they can't even meet the first one. And the Crown knows this, but it's like they're trying to intimidate me. And the thing is I keep showing my teeth. If you want to tango in court, we will tango in court, but this is going to be like a 3-ring circus. I'm going to sell tickets at the door. You know what I mean? You have 2 police officers alleging that they're fearful of a 110-pound woman. I don't carry a gun. for a living. You do. So if you have that fear, you need to either get yourself checked out for PTSD because maybe your paranoia is irrational, or B, you need to do your job. Had they done their job, none of this would have happened. None of it.
That's right.
But they went on rumors, on, you know what I mean, slanderous things. Well, maybe we're just like, trying to get free marijuana out of the government. Like, are you insane? Like, we're going to just randomly claim that someone stole this package. Like, this is what I largely think that they thought was going through our head. And to even suggest that, like, why would I waste my time contacting you lazy derelicts to do your job if I didn't have to, right? So,
Yeah,
and then they wonder,
right.
well, why did you make this complaint? Well, it's like, again, if you would do your job, like in 2014, they got over 5,000 complaints Canada-wide just on this topic of not doing their job. 5,000 complaints.
And it's not their place to assess why or what reasoning you have for wanting this package, and the contents of the package really should be irrelevant to them. The fact remains, the package was put on a bus and it didn't get off the bus. So where is it? Somebody needs to look at this. Bottom line.
And we had confirmation they had checked the cameras where my grower lives at the bus depot, and it said, no, it left. It was on the bus. It was fine. Like, unless the bus driver from the 2-hour ride got into the undercarriage of the bus, like, you know how they put the stuff under the bus, and just happened to have stole this marijuana package. Like, it's not even likely either. It was definitely someone at the bus depot, the receiving bus depot, but they didn't even check the cameras at the receiving bus depot.
Yeah. And well, there was no investigation done, and there should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
If that was expensive jewelry or something, you know.
Oh, for sure. Like, and there was like nothing offered, like, in terms of like compensation, in terms of like insurance, even by the bus depot. Like, we got into a fight with the bus depot because they're like, oh, well, we wash our hands once it leaves our bus depot. It's your receiving bus depot that's, to blame for it. Like, they were blaming each other, and no one got to the bottom of actually where the package had went.
Oh, I can see the receiving.
Only that, but the police didn't even report it to the federal government that it had gone missing. Like, the legislation is for you to do your job. That's a statutory obligation that you had to report that, and you just chose not to. Like, what is your excuse?
And there should be flashback from the federal government for them not complying with the law.
Well, yeah, but do they know? Well, obviously not. No. And my question is how many other incidences has this occurred? Like, maybe people get their packages listed and they don't report it. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if you can't even ensure that our rights are protected to an honest investigation when we have crimes against us, we are treated like second-class citizens. We have no rights. And the dispensary example is just, a screaming example of how police treat cannabis users like second-class citizens. Oh, you make a complaint? Okay, well, then we're going to come and charge you. And they probably don't even go and investigate the robbery. Why would they? You know what I mean? Like, you're easy, fair game.
There's been several media reports where the police admitted that, you call us for being robbed and you use cannabis on site, when we get there, you're going to be arrested.
Yeah. So why would you call the police? Like, why wouldn't you just divvy up your own sense of justice, I guess? Like, did you see in the States, like, I hate to laugh, but there was a police officer that was actually killed by a virtue of a booby-trapped grow-up. Sometimes that's the reality of the situation. Like, we, as cannabis users, we are being harassed by law enforcement. Whether or not you have a card or not, we are being harassed on all levels, and that is what needs to stop.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And on that note, talking about stopping, we're getting close to the end of the show here. And this is where we're going to, as you're going to find out, shout outs and stuff are done. You got a website or anything that you'd like to promote?
They can just check us out at Facebook/SaskMed.
Yeah. And that's where they can find
that's all of our services and such, and they can contact us through there.
Good. And you can help people in discriminatory situations as well as helping them with the ACMPR?
Oh, for sure. Like, direct any questions toward us. And in terms of the discrimination thing as well, like strength in numbers, right?
Exactly.
Right now I'm gathering up people who have also been hooped by SGI. And so strength in numbers, if we have to go after them all together, then we so shall. But something needs to change. And that's why that ruling out of Nova Scotia is just golden. Like, that is what we need. That is the momentum, and I hope that more rulings keep coming out like that. We actually had a professor from the University of Saskatchewan, he's a law professor, who said, yes, in fact, this is discrimination. So that's a big change for us, because most often we're like,
so how do they get a hold of you
again?
And how do people get a hold of you again?
Oh, they can just contact me on facebook.com/SaskMed.
There you go. Okay, now it's Kim's turn to throw out a shout-out.
I don't even have one ready, so I'm just going to say 12 High Chicks. Go to 12highchicks.com and check out on Facebook 12 High Chicks Mom Cup under events, or their Facebook page, the 12 High Chicks on Facebook. Great ladies putting together a wonderful event that's taking place in Vancouver, BC this weekend. If you can make it out, I'll see you there.
And if they can't make it out, they can catch you Sunday afternoon about 2 o'clock, 2:30 here at lifestyleradio.ca, right?
That's right. We'll be doing a live broadcast from the event on Sunday, so we'll give you an update for all those in Ontario that can't make it out to BC for the festivities.
That's right. Exactly. Looking forward to that myself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Next week, Kim, you're back next Wednesday. It's your turn.
Yep, I'm back again next. Yeah, I'm just filling in tonight for Deb. Deb's flying out to meet us in BC. She's got a much longer flight than me, and with the time changes, she's already on the road to get into the air there. So I took her show over tonight, and it's my normal week next week. And next week I have on Sasha. And I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name until I talk to him in person. But he is otherwise known as the Joint Doctor, the one and only Joint Doctor out of Montreal. Sasha, he's a seed developer and tell us all about cannabis and origins of cannabis plants.
I'm going to take a guess. PresTech.
I think so.
PresTech. That's something that's what it sort of looks like. So there you go, Alicia. Another last name that's tough to say.
I'm going to start a club.
She just throws them at me all the time. Okay, you can find Pace, the Pace Radio Show on Facebook. We can be liked there. We're on Twitter at Pace Radio. We're on Instagram as Pace Radio Show. And we can be found on the web at pace-online.ca, and go to that website, send me a message, and I'll send you some free stuff. Just let me know you're looking for free stuff, and we'll send you some educational information that you can share with other people. And actually, I'm sitting here looking at 3 DVDs. Maybe that's the next thing I'll send out, a whole set of TY DVDs. Let's see. Thank you go out to our sponsors, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics. We're located in Belleville, Ontario, also online at bmahydroponics.com. CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler, found at ccnexus.global. Our producer, Al Rapp, the man behind the baggie, as we like to call him. And also a shout out to Wayne for giving us a spot here to do the live broadcast in the window of CannaDaze. And big shout out to Alicia. Thank you for coming on the program, and thank you for joining us here at the Pace Radio Show. We look forward to your first interview in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yes, I guess in 2 weeks. I'll have something great and grand.
Yeah. Well, hey, we had a bit of a talk there this afternoon. I look forward to seeing some of the guests to come on to the program. And you can find Alicia at the Saskatchewan Medical Cannabis Association on Facebook, right, Alicia?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Also, a big shout out and thank you to Kim Cooper for filling in for Deb tonight and being a warrior and go advocate and being involved in this program. I really appreciate you being involved.
Oh, no problem, Al. Here to help in any way I can, as usual.
And a big thing, we appreciate that. And a big thank you to our listeners for tuning in the program. You know, it's always enjoyable. It's always great to have listeners that help spread the news. So thank you for doing what you do. And good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night.
Good night.
Everybody, we'll talk to you soon.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this lifestyle radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might